This is one of the most asked questions, why we need it, and what is the purpose of this, and what is the difference. So let's take an example of a search input we have. When we start typing over this 1 2 3 4 5, so I have pressed it 5 times, so API call would be made 5. On each character separate API call would be made, which is not good, so we have to optimize it somehow. So another example would be, so here you can see we have a throw ball function that is going to be called after each press. So here you can see I have pressed it 13 times, and 13 times an event has been triggered. So what we can do, we can optimize it somehow. So if we implement a debounce over there, we have to provide some kind of timer. So I have given a timer of 1 second, and once a certain time, okay, this one is throttle, and we have a debounce as well. Then now let's first see the debounce thing. So I have given a timer of 1 second over there, and after a certain 1 second has been elapsed, then event handle would be triggered. So this is the optimized technique. So here you can see I pressed it 7 times, and then 1 second has been elapsed, then only one API call would be made. In the same way, I have stopped pressing and 1 second has been elapsed, then a second API call would be made. So this is how debounce work in search input. In the same way, if we, let's take an example, I have given a timer of 1 second, that after 1 second has been elapsed, then this should be called. So I have start typing 1 2 3 and stopped it after 1 second. Now the API call would be made with 1 2 3, so only one API call would be made. In the same way, after this I have start typing the same 4 5 6 7 4 5 6, and I have stopped for a second, then the second API would be made with 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So overall 2 API call would be made. So this is what Throttle do. It guaranteed that when a user stop for a certain time and certain time has been elapsed, then the API call would be made. So here you can see execute after the event stop firing. The use case would be auto saving and search suggestion. The behavior is same that I have shown. Delay the function until no more events call. If we take an example of Throttle, so what Throttle do, there is just a small difference between Throttle and Debounce is that Throttle guarantee that it made an API call uh, within the certain duration. So here if we see an example that I have given a 1 second, so if I press it 27, I have pressed it 27 times, but I haven't stopped during within the certain duration, the API call would be made 4, because it guaranteed that after 1 second has been elapsed, then there must be an API call. In the same way, here you can see I am not stopping pressing the button, but within the duration 1 second has been elapsed, so the API call would be made. If we do it here as a search input, so I have, let's take an example that I have pressed 1 2 3, but during this duration 1 second has been elapsed, so there would be a API call with 1 2 3. Now after that 1 second has been elapsed over there, so there would be an API call with 1 2 3 4 3 4 3. So this is how Throttle works. So mostly the Throttle technique is used for scrolling, mouse move, periodic updates, window resize. So execute at steady intervals. So here you can see when to use when. So wait until the user stop typing, make an API call. This is what I have explained here. And in the same way, when you want to act continuous action but as a control rate, updating UI as a user scrolls. Beside this, mostly what interviewer gave us is this kind of question, and say to write a custom debounce function instead of using any kind of library. So here you can see we have a debounce function that accepts a callback function, and timer has been provided by them. So now let's try to code it. So you can see we have to implement this function debounce, and as a parameter it's taking this callback function. So we can write a callback, and second thing is timer, and here you can see it's going to call a debounce function not directly but as a function, as a function has been written over here. So we have to return a function here, and what we have to do, we have to call it after a certain time. So we can use a set timeout function, and the timer has been provided with this, and what thing would be called, callback function would be called. So let's try to run this. Here you would see that 4 API calls would be made. One thing to note here, it accepts an argument, but we are not giving any kind of argument. We have to provide it here, but from where we would receive the argument, because it's not, we are not accepting any kind of argument here, right? So in JavaScript we can directly get arguments using this, and we can pass it here directly. And now let's try to run this and see the API call would be made. Okay, uh, return function arg. Okay, here you can see we have given the 4 API calls would be made, but here you can see what expected is these 2 API calls should not be made, because debounce function guaranteed that when a user stop typing and certain duration like 1 second has been elapsed, then only the API call should be made. So we have to do a clear interval kind of thing to not so that these 2 API calls should not be made. So for this, what we can do, we have to do a clear timeout. But how can we do a clear timeout this function? We cannot do it directly like this. One of the best way to do is simplest way, I would say, to create a variable and store a timeout in a variable, and then simply we can clear timeout like this. Now if we see here, you can see these 2 API calls would not be made, these 2 API calls would be made. So this is how debounce work. In the same way, the throttle, you can go through it and try to implement the throttle function.